You're watching Super Tuesday presented by Hotels.com. And our matchup tonight in the Big 12 Conference here from Waco, Texas. The Oklahoma State Cowboys on the road to take on the 10-3 Baylor Bears in this rugged Big 12, where we have already had a classic last night at Fog Allen. Kansas over Oklahoma. You got the top two teams in the country. A very balanced league, a very talented league. Lots of good players in this matchup here tonight between the Cowboys and the Bears. Lots of good big players. Dave Fleming, Miles Simon with you. But Miles, I think we'll focus on the point guards. They may well determine the outcome.
I think you're going to see two of the best point guards in this conference. Jawan Evans, just a freshman from Dallas, Texas, averaging 4 assists per game. He's a dynamic passer. He's great in the ball screens, and he's phenomenal in transition. And then on the other side of the ball is the senior, Lester Medford, the junior college transfer, who's taken over the reins for this Baylor point guard, playing some of his best basketball over the last couple weeks, 13 points per game, along with 43% from behind the arc over his last 4. He's running the show for Scott Drew's Baylor Bears.
So we're just about ready to go from Waco in a league where wins are going to be so precious, so hard to come by. We know the depth, the balance of the Big 12, and it makes every game. I think we saw it last night in Lawrence, where the intensity level in this league right from the start of conference play is going to be so high.
Each and every night is a big challenge in this league. It's hard to get road wins. You must bring your A game every night in the Big 12.
Now, we're not guaranteed the same kind of theater that we got last night. Nice play, but Torian Prince misses the first look for Baylor. Starting lineups: Evans, Newberry, Hammonds, Carroll, and Allen for the Cowboys of Oklahoma State, who I think they feel like they've started to play better. Gathers Medford, Prince, Wainwright, and Freeman for Baylor, and that's the first bucket of the night. It's Leighton Hammonds for Oklahoma State.
Well, Oklahoma State has been ravaged by injuries so far this season. Their best player, Phil Forte, coming into the season, is out with an elbow injury, torn ligament in his left non-shooting elbow. They still haven't determined his status, but hasn't played since the 3rd game of the season. So they're still kind of trying to find their way and who they are. Tavares Shine missed a bunch of time with a shoulder injury. Mitchell Solomon missed the game with an ankle.
Along the baseline, Rico Gathers with an open look. That one out of bounds and off of the Cowboys. There's the player that Miles is talking about, and it is a huge blow because Phil Forte, I mean, he's the best player. He's the leader. He's the experienced guy, the leading scorer.
Well, Travis Ford spoke to us at shoot-around today, and the thing that he told us is that Forte, they had built everything around him. He was the senior. They lost LeBron Nash from last year's team. They were kind of the 1-2 inside-out combo. And all the plays, the offense was designed around getting Forte shots, playing him in different spots. And then he goes down, and there's no timetable for his return, and they have to completely adjust how they play. And you lose your star player. Now, who's the guy that's filling in his role? The leadership role, the scoring, the go-to guy.
Carroll with the 3, and that one goes down. So Hammonds with a basket, Carroll with a basket after the Gathers tip in. It's 5-2 Oklahoma State.
Well, I like the zone offense that Oklahoma State has run so far. In the first possession, they get the ball to the sweet spot at the high post, and they knock down the jumper. There they go side to side, make the zone shift, and find another weak spot in the dead corner. We'll see if the Bears change their defense on the next possession.
Ish Wainwright, who's more of a distributor, finds Medford. Medford's shot no good. Prince offensive rebound. In traffic, Prince resets. Here's Gathers with that little baby hook shot. His touch around the hoop has improved.
We've been watching Rico Gathers over the last 3 or 4 years in this conference, and his first 2 years, you really didn't know what you were going to get when he got an offensive rebound or he was in the paint area. He didn't have a lot of touch, but he's worked on his game with Coach Jerome Tang, and he's really improved in that facet of his game. Is just finishing.
He's always been able to get the rebounds. It's a question of what he does with them after he gets them. Cowboys on offense here. Shot clock winding down. A whistle and a foul against Baylor. Well, we'll spend a lot of time talking about Rico Gathers. He is one of the very best players in this league.
Well, this is right off the offensive rebound, and right there he just gathers himself, gets his 2 feet planted, goes up with a soft jump hook from 5 or 6 feet, and it was contested. Not an easy shot by any means.
Oklahoma State does have a good shot blocker. Anthony Allen, number 32. On this end of the floor, usually doesn't get that involved, but he is a good defensive player.
Yeah, they got to continue to work against this zone. The corners and the short corner are a little bit of the soft spots against Baylor's 1-1-3 zone defense.
Allen finds Carroll. That was a good pass. Shot missed. Gathers another rebound. He will have a lot of those before this game is over. Torian Prince finds Gathers. A little shot fake with the foul.
And here you see some of Torian Prince's versatility. I love the way he plays on the perimeter there. The jab step, the drive, sucks the defense to him. The beautiful shovel pass there to Rico Gathers, and he's able to finish through the contact. And if you're going to foul Rico Gathers, you better bring it hard, because that is a big, physical man down there, 6'8", 275 pounds of pure muscle.
Now, I haven't done a scientific survey. He rattles down the free throw. I have not, but I think he's the strongest player, most physical player in college hoops.
I would tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
And you probably don't need to do a survey. We could just look at him and tell.
We're just going with it. 7-5 Baylor, and Rico has all 7 for the Bears. There's Hammonds, who committed that foul on Gathers. Allen just not looking to score down low. Hammonds in the corner for 3. 2 Bears there for the rebound. Prince grabs it.
And see, now if you're Oklahoma State, you don't want to fall into the trap of getting too jump shot happy against that zone. Still got to get into the gaps of the defense, try to get some layups.
Evans quickly down the court. Now the Cowboys will have to reset the offense. Jeff Newberry, he stepped up his game without Forte.
Newberry's been best when he's just been active. He's a good rebounder, excellent on the defensive end. There you see him hustling back. But a nice finish there by Lester Medford.
Yeah, he hustled, but just could not quite prevent that bucket. And that's what Baylor wants to do. They're not a real high-tempo team, but when they have a chance, they will push the ball. Carroll had his pass stolen away by Wainwright. And another outlet, but not a great look. Carroll got back and stole it away.
Well, you see the Baylor zone. They have length. Only Medford is small at about 5'10". But Ish Wainwright, Al Freeman, Torian Prince are all long on those wings and at the top in the middle of the zone.
Yeah, it's never been a passive zone defense. Freeman along the way. Freeman draws a foul. Well, Baylor using that transition game to get out in the open court. That'll send us to our first timeout. Baylor out to a 9-5 lead.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Hotels.com, the obvious choice for hotels. And in part by T-Mobile. Ditch your carrier and switch to the Un-carrier.
Just getting started here in Waco. Baylor with a 9-5 lead over Oklahoma State. Dave Fleming, Miles Simon with you. And look, I think last night, Miles, that game at Allen Fieldhouse, for all of us who follow the Big 12 and are around the Big 12, it was indicative of the style and quality of play we see. Maybe not quite to that level, but we expect another heck of a year in Big 12 hoops.
Yeah, this is arguably the best conference in America year in and year out. And the start of conference play has been no different so far, with some great basketball games that have gone on early on. It was obviously capped off last night by a tremendous triple overtime game by two teams that are going to contend to cut down the nets in April in Oklahoma and Kansas.
It'll be hard to match that one. We may not match that one for a few years. But the intensity level, the importance of every single game in this league where you have the pure double round robin, everybody plays everybody else home and away, it just adds a different dimension to hoops in this league.
And I also think the fact that teams feel they're chasing Kansas every year because they're trying to end that streak and not let it get to 12 in a row. And you can see in Oklahoma and Buddy Hield that it's how important it was for them to try to steal one in Fall Gown Fieldhouse, and they're so close. They have a free throw by Dean Latin that doesn't go down with 2 seconds left in that basketball game and chances to win in regulation and overtime, and teams, it's just hard to get over the hump against the Jayhawks.
Freeman made both free throws. It's a 9-0 run here for Baylor. Oklahoma State with a good look. Rebound, ricochets over to Carroll.
But see, I don't mind that. That was the first time that Juwan Evans or anybody else had penetrated the gap of the zone.
New shot clock off the offensive board. Evans, nice look to Hammonds, who scores.
He's such a good passer, and Travis Ford really praised him today with his passing ability. And they said sometimes in practice that he'll throw passes that the coaches don't ever think are going to get there, and all of a sudden it finds the hands of a Cowboy player. And those guys have to be very alert on the offensive end when Juwan Evans has the basketball.
Yeah, number one playing defense here against Bedford. McDonald's All-American, big-time high school player from Dallas. Bounce pass down low. And Jonathan Motley was stuffed by Mitchell Solomon. Motley's looking like he was going to try it again. Instead finds Medford. And he gets it back down low. Motley draws contact.
And here's Evans on the offensive end of the floor. Just has his eyes up, head on a swivel. Shows that he might go one way to the left. Throws the ball back over his right shoulder. Delivers it perfectly in rhythm for the shot.
Bad news for Oklahoma State. The guy who made the shot after the delivery from Evans, Hammonds, just committed his second personal. Motley makes the first of 2 free throws, so Hammonds is going to go to the bench.
And that could be a big loss because Hammonds is the second leading scorer on this team. Really has improved his game over last year. Averaged 2 points a game last year, up to about 10.5 this season. Playing kind of a stretch 4 position.
Yeah, the way Oklahoma State put it to us, he's almost in that LeBron Nash role. If you watch LeBron Nash the last couple of years, how effective he was. And you can see what they're talking about. You watch even these first few minutes of this game. He's on the bench with a couple fouls. Evans also gets a rest. Tyree Griffin on the bench. Shine as well. 2 sophomores.
Shine is a guy they're expecting big things from to be in the starting role this year, but he hurts his shoulder in the first game of the season. Still trying to find his rhythm, and there you go, knocking down the 3-point shot. He was a 32% 3-point shooter last season. Hasn't been able to find the bottom of the net too many times this year, only 1 for 14 going into that shot right there. That's a big confidence booster for Shine and the Cowboys.
And if you remember the NCAA tournament, Oklahoma State played Oregon in the tournament. Tavares Shine hit 4 3-pointers. Was a big star as a freshman in that game. Here's Prince all the way to the basket.
Torian Prince has just improved by leaps and bounds over his time here as a Baylor Bear. In high school, he was a center, and he was going to go to LIU Brooklyn. Got out of his letter of intent, and now has made himself into a possible NBA draft prospect.
It really is, it's an amazing story. Torian Prince for Baylor. Griffin to Solomon along the baseline. That's not a good pass. Stolen by King McClure, who takes it all the way himself. And Travis Ford is unhappy with the turnover and then the transition defense.
Well, this zone almost lulls you to sleep and believing that you have passing angles that aren't there. And you see Al Freeman right there playing the passing lane, getting the layup. Bears up 7.
For you on Saturday on ESPN, 1st and 1 Eastern in the Big Ten. Maryland, Wisconsin at 8 Eastern. Jim Boeheim's back. Syracuse hosting top 10 North Carolina. Both games streaming on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app.
All right, now after those early couple nice possessions, the first 2 of the game, Oklahoma State needs to find some way to penetrate this zone, and there Tavares Shine with a nice shot, just can't finish.
Terry Maston, they call him TJ, in the game with a defensive rebound for Baylor. Prince finds Motley, draws another foul. Man, Baylor's being really aggressive going to the basket.
Yeah, so far all 6 of their field goals have come in the paint. They're making a concentrated effort. A couple have been in transition, but they get the ball by pass or the dribble somewhere around the rim.
That's been a big difference in the early minutes of this one. Baylor leading by 7.
And this is such a positive sign for the Baylor Bears when Jonathan Motley is coming in the game and being very active early on. Sometimes he doesn't give the energy and the effort that is needed coming off the bench, but so far tonight, he's got his hands on a couple balls, gotten a couple shots, and gone to the line now 2 times.
Joe Burton comes out of the game. He was fairly quiet in a few minutes on the court. Anthony Allen back in, more size on the floor for the Cowboys. Motley made both free throws. To me, he's the X factor for Baylor. He's got a lot of talent. If he becomes a little more consistent, I think this team has upside.
Well, he can be a total difference maker on both ends of the floor because he's a guy, he's continuing to develop his offensive game, but on the defensive end, he's long, he can cover ground, he's very active when he wants to be.
Yeah, you saw a good example of that there. Prince challenged that shot. Motley rips away the defensive board. And it's Freeman who gets out into transition. Nice little crossover move by Freeman. Prince is open, passed up the 3 to attack and score.
Sweet move.
And another timeout for Oklahoma State. That's the second one that Travis Ford has already taken in this first half.
Well, the Baylor defense has been cranked up here in the last 4 or 5 minutes. And it starts with the rebounding with this team. Jonathan Motley clearing the defensive glass, which leads to the secondary transition opportunity. They get the ball at the floor, and then Torian Prince with the sweet finger roll.
Well, one of the biggest stars in the NBA, Kevin Durant, in college hoops for 1 year back in 2007, and here in the Big 12 led the conference in scoring and rebounding, became the first freshman to win the Wooden Award, second most points by a freshman in Division I history, and of course very famously the number 2 pick in that 2007 NBA draft, our Wendy's Wooden Watch. Kevin Durant was a tremendous player in this conference that has had as many stars over the last decade as any league in the country.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite players to watch in the NBA, and I've gotten to spend some time around him at the Kevin Durant Skills Academy over the last couple years for Nike, and he is one of the hardest workers. He's great with the young men that come into high school and college guys as far as playing pickup and giving pointers. Just a tremendous all-around person.
Oklahoma State needing some offense here. Baylor's on a 19-5 run.
Well, Newberry and Evans, those guys need to be really active. There you see Jeffrey Carroll. I love the penetration right down the seam right there. He gets the lay in the fall. And here now Oklahoma State falling back into his own defense.
Now they have played some of this. They almost call it like a 1-2-2 zone defense. They played quite a bit of it this year.
Well, Coach said that they started it in the Minnesota game, and then it just worked really well. So they've stuck with it at times. And they said with Jawan Evans and Carroll and Hammonds and these guys in the game, that gives them great length, and those guys can cover a lot of ground.
Tell you what, that was a good entry pass by the freshman Jake Lindsey. Maston couldn't finish, and then the foul against Baylor.
TJ Maston's really going to be a fine player for these Baylor Bears. Young man, sophomore, didn't get a lot of playing time last year, but he's probably end up being their best low post scorer by the end of the year. Great footwork, good touch around the basket, long arms.
Carroll over to Newberry. That zone defense swarming for Baylor. Hammonds back in the game with 2 fouls. Gives you an idea of the urgency for Oklahoma State. Good catch by Evans. Tough contested shot. Rebound Wainwright.
And I like Motley just being right there to contest without fouling, using his length and his size.
Yeah, you've already pointed that out. That's what he brings his team. That's what Freeman brings, the outside shooting.
And when you watch this Baylor team, they're tremendously unselfish. You see how the ball didn't stick right there? Pass, wide open shot for their best three-point shooter, Freeman. Baylor leads the country in assists per game at 21.5.
And almost everything had come inside before that one. Their first 3 make. Up by 12. Motley very active on the defensive end. He's been a difference maker in the first half. Freeman, another open look in transition. Back-to-back threes for Al Freeman.
And the defense for the Baylor Bears is what is fueling the offensive side of the ball right now. They get the stop, they swarm Newberry on the baseline, and then Al Freeman running the floor, knocking down the 3.
Evans with a foul, count the basket. Well, everything has been inside for Baylor, but these looks, Freeman's going to make these.
Well, Al Freeman has stepped it really into a starring role. He's one of the best scorers on this team. You saw the ball movement there, and then now back-to-back threes, just a rhythm jumper right in transition, nothing but net. You love Lindsey, the freshman, having his eyes up and dishing that ball right in rhythm to Al Freeman.
Yeah, Lindsey's a good passer. Going to be a good player for Baylor. He committed the foul. He goes to the bench along with Maston and Jonathan Motley, who gave Baylor great minutes.
Well, speaking of good players, this young man, Juwan Evans, he's going to be a special player for the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Won a gold medal this summer with the FIBA U19 national team. Playing for Sean Miller, had Alonzo Trier, Caleb Swanigan, Harry Giles, and Jason Tatum, who are going to be Duke Blue Devils in the future. The two best high school players in the country playing on that team.
So a lot of good talent with Evans, who's the third McDonald's All-American to commit to Oklahoma State and play for Travis Ford in his tenure. Gathers from around the free throw line. It's a much bigger part of his game.
Well, you just see the improvement and the confidence that he has, and he has really worked at it. He spends the time in the gym. He wanted to get better. It was important to him. In high school, he was kind of just a bull in the china shop. He was stronger than everybody else. Not that he's not stronger than everybody else now, but he's developed more of a feel for the game.
Freeman finds Gathers down low against the shot blocker. Another nice move. He could not do that when he showed up in Waco.
Dave, and let me tell you this. I talked to Rico at shoot-around today. I've known him since he was going into his senior year in high school. I got to coach him at the LeBron James Skills Academy. And he wants to be a professional basketball player. Everybody always talks about football with him because of his body and his size and the athletic things that he can do. But when they say that, they are taking away from his basketball playing abilities. Here you see the face-up jumper from 15 feet. Now the deep post-up. And this is over a 7-footer. He backs him down, has the soft touch from 8 or 10 feet right there. But he told me his dream, he wants to play in the NBA. And he might not be a draft pick, and I doubt that he would get drafted. He's a guy that has a special skill, and rebounding translates at every level. If you can rebound in high school, you can usually rebound in college. And probably if you can rebound at a high level that he plays at in college, there can be a niche for him like a Chuck Hayes.
Tavares Shine, by the way, fouled on that three-point attempt.
A Chuck Hayes, a Carl Landry, a Joey Dorsey. I mean, this guy gets one rebound every 2.7 minutes. That is elite level stuff that Rico Gathers does on the rebounding side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, you could go back even far. Charles Oakley comes to mind as a guy who wasn't all that skilled offensively. Dennis Rodman, who was a great defensive player, but also a tremendous rebounder. And those are the kind of guys you see a guy like Gathers who has such a knack for that part of the game. Shine at the free throw line, misses the first one. Yeah, I love the rebound rate stat.
Yeah, if you look at it, okay, one rebound every 2.7 minutes. Dwight Howard and Dennis Rodman over their careers, these are two of the best rebounders in NBA history. Get one rebound every 2.8, and Rodman one every 2.4. And those are elite guys. And Rodman, you would say, he's like 6'8", 6'9", about the same size as Gathers. Gathers has great athleticism. He has long arms. He's obviously very physical. There's a niche or a role sometimes for a guy like Rico Gathers at the next level. Just has to be in the right spot at the right time.
He's already Baylor's career leader in rebounds. Needs 10 more for 1,000 in his career. He's got 2 in 8 minutes in this game, so he's way below his pace. He's doing it on the offensive end, though. A couple of free throws out of 3.
Well, the problem is his teammates have been making so many shots, he's not able to get to his average of 4 offensive rebounds per game. But right now it has to be Oklahoma State on the defensive end. They got to scrap and claw, and that's kind of what Travis Ford said his team needs to be night in and night out. Just the toughest team out on the floor and do all the little dirty stuff.
Al Freeman playing well. That's his 3rd bucket.
Al Freeman, one of the best athletes on this team, 37-inch vert. Originally a UCLA commit.
Evans 3 short, and a whistle and a foul on the floor. The foul, I think, is going against Ish Wainwright and Baylor. Rico Gathers, great rebounder. We're going to talk about how Rico cleans the glass when we come back. favoring them. So it's not a turnover, although a sloppy play. Tyree Griffin, sophomore from New Orleans.
So now they go with the two-guard lineup. They have both point guards in there, Griffin and Juwan Evans. See if they can pick up the pace, if they can get a couple stops, try to get out in transition, because pretty much everything they've got tonight has been in the half court, and Baylor is locked in this zone.
We saw Phil Forte on the bench, of course, out. We talked about his injury early. And he's not a pure point guard, but he could fill that sort of second point guard role for the Cowboys. A move to the basket with the left hand and no finish for Chris Olivier.
But I'm okay with that possession. They get it inside. Olivier's good with his back to the basket. Just couldn't finish.
Medford crossover, long two.
The coaching staff is so high on this young man, Lester Medford. He's from Tucson, Arizona. They said he's really exceeded all his expectations, and the point of emphasis Coach Drew hit with us today at shoot-around is that he's hitting singles and doubles instead of trying to hit home runs like he did last year.
Griffin too strong on the three. Medford leads the break.
And when I say he's hitting singles and doubles, meaning he's making the easy play, not trying to thread the seam on some tough passes.
Freeman back to Motley. On the baseline, a reach-in foul. Shine commits his first personal. 5:59 to go here in the first half. Baylor shooting 65%. They've assisted on 9 of their 13 field goals, making their free throws. They've done just about everything right on this end of the floor. Another foul, again against Oklahoma State. And Tavares Shine just picked up his second foul with no time ticking off the clock. This time they're going to whistle Baylor. So they're just determined to call a foul before the ball gets inbounded. That one on Motley. I'm not sure what that sequence was. Scott Drew's not real sure. A little token pressure from Baylor.
Well, Baylor's mixed up defenses throughout the season. Tonight, obviously, they've been sticking with the zone the whole first half. And Coach Drew, he said the reason why we've been good in our man and our zone is just on a game-by-game basis and a team-by-team basis on what we feel most comfortable with defensive-wise.
A pretty tough shot from Juwan Evans, the talented freshman.
Well, you can see the ability. He's quick at 6 feet. He's very athletic. He has a great feel for the game. And that's not an easy shot by any means.
They want him to shoot more, look for more offense. And you watch that move, you see why. Motley. Of a no-look pass, but there was Medford wide open, and they call a foul against Evans. Close it out a little too aggressively.
And here you see Juwan Evans, the little ball reversal, gets right into the gap in the teeth of the defense. Rico Gathers comes over a little bit too late, can't get a piece of the ball, and you love the soft touch by Evans.
Some concern for Travis Ford, his 8th season as the head coach in Stillwater, with the way this game is going so far.
This young man at the line, Dave, I actually have a good connection with this young man. His dad, Kelvin Ifan, was actually my teammate and in the same incoming class at the University of Arizona with me. He was a tough, stocky guard from Seagoville High School in the Dallas, Texas area. Kelvin Ifan is now a high school coach at Pueblo High School in Tucson, Arizona.
He played some football for your Wildcats too, didn't he?
Yeah. After 2 seasons, he had played high school football. He converted to a running back for Coach Dick Tomey. Was a big factor, scored a lot of touchdowns for the Wildcats. But Lester Medford, proud Tucson native, Amphi High School.
And he's really become a nice college player. Baylor's made all 10 of their free throws in this first half. Medford last year was mostly a shooting guard. An easy transition. He's done it well. There's Olivier with that left-hand touch.
Well, I like the post-up. They went right back to him. He missed his last jump hook, but they go back to him. He gets it back to the basket. The transfer from Eastern Illinois, graduate transfer, 6'8", 230 senior. Had to lose a lot of weight over the summer. Had to lose about 20 to 25 pounds, really get in shape to play at this level.
Motley went backdoor to Freeman. I don't think was totally expecting the pass. He did well to avoid the turnover. Shot clock under 10. Freeman again, trying to get the handle. Shot clock winding down. Al Freeman finds Prince. At the shot clock buzzer, no good. Well, Oklahoma State still has 4+ minutes here in the first half to try to chip away. Hammonds. Freeman. There's been a lot of that for Baylor.
Well, someone has to stop the ball for Oklahoma State. There was no talk on the defensive end of the floor in transition right there. Some of that's Juwan Evans. He's the freshman, but you have to be kind of the catalyst. You're the point guard and the first guy back, and you're the first line of defense, and you got to point out to guys. And if Freeman is coming right down the alley straight to the hoop, you got to be the guy that directs all that.
Newberry, tough catch, and he finds a way to score.
Great catch by Jeff Newberry. Not a great pass by Evans. He goes down, but I love that Newberry didn't try to force it off the catch, gathered himself, and finished.
Little pressure, double team in the backcourt. Medford dribbles right through the traffic, but then loses the ball. And an outlet to Newberry with Motley trailing, but he lays it in.
Medford tried to do too much there. If you're going to beat the press off the dribble, once you beat two guys, then you have to give the ball up because now you have the advantage already.
Yeah, that could have been an easy bucket for Baylor. Instead, it was a turnover. Biggest lead has been 18. The lead right now is 14. Al Freeman, he has been the man on offense. There's an offensive board for Rico Gathers. Medford three, too strong. They're going to call Prince, I believe, for going over the back. Sends us to a timeout.
And Al Freeman of the Baylor Bears grabbing the board, just says, if nobody's going to stop me, I'll go ahead and go coast to coast and get the easy lay-in.
Well, the Big 12 was hoping to be there, but Clemson a little too good for Oklahoma, Alabama. Can Clemson stop them? We'll find out on Monday. Torian Prince, by the way, that last whistle was against him. That's his third foul, so that's fairly big news for one of the best players for the Bears, who are having a heck of a first half, leading Oklahoma State 40-26.
Dave, you do a lot of football for us.
I do.
Who do you got in the national title game?
I'm going to wait for Tavares Shine.
Please do.
Good job hitting the first free throw. I am picking Clemson.
Wow.
To win the national championship.
Why?
I think they will have the best player. It's hard to say because Alabama's got a lot of great players, but
so you
I
think
do believe
Deshaun Watson?
Deshaun Watson will be the best player on the field.
Do you think he should have won the Heisman over Henry?
Well, I think Christian McCaffrey should have won the Heisman.
Okay. Stanford. I know you're always sticking up for the Stanford guys. Hey.
I can't help it. I think he earned it.
McCaffrey was a stud in that Rose Bowl game against Iowa. He was unstoppable.
My ballot would have been McCaffrey, Watson, Henry, personally.
And by the way, I'm going with Alabama in the national title game.
That's the safe pick. Motley draws a foul.
You only have two teams to pick from, so it's like,
well, that's true, but they're a touchdown favorite in the game, so you kind of got to go out on a limb to pick Clemson.
So you're the risk taker of us two.
I'm the risk taker.
Okay.
I'm picking them outright. Motley, 4 points, all from the free throw line. Missed that one. So for Baylor, that's a rare free throw miss. And what happens? They'll get the ball anyway.
And see, that's Rico Gathers just being active. He steps in between the two Oklahoma State guys on the foul line. And that caused Chris Olivier to not be able to gather that rebound cleanly just because Rico Gathers decides that he's not going to give up on the play.
On the inbounds. That's not a good matchup for Oklahoma State. Olivier against Gathers. Another foul on Mitchell Solomon, his second personal. The sophomore who has a lot of, they do feel like Mitchell Solomon can be a solid player for them. He's still looking to take that step forward.
The biggest thing with Mitchell Solomon is playing with a lot of confidence. Not being timid, being more aggressive on both ends of the floor.
Motley back to the line, missed another one. There's Rico Gathers against Olivier. That is not a fair fight, but he did have his shot blocked with some help defense. Evans, what a pass, and Solomon wasn't ready for it. I thought that was a good pass.
It was a great pass, and it hit him right in his stomach where it was supposed to. Solomon has to have his hands up and be ready, but if you haven't played with a guy that's as special of a passer as Juwan Evans is, and Solomon is telling Juwan Evans right now, that was my fault, that was a good pass. Juwan Evans has his eyes up, Look at that. He threads the needle right there, and it hit him in the wrong place, the hands, right? I mean, that was a perfect pass by Juwan Evans, but Mitchell Solomon only had one hand up, and he can't gather it. You got to have two hands up if you're the big fella.
I mean, Mitchell, you gotta catch that one and dunk it down. That has to be 2 points.
And that's a real momentum builder possibly for your team. It would have cut it to 10. You get back, you're a little bit more juiced up on the defensive end.
Evans 3, good. Well, he's doing everything he can to keep the Cowboys in the game.
Well, you can see why he was a McDonald's All-American, so highly touted. Nearly every school in the country wanted this young man to play for him, and now he's a little bit more active on the defensive end, and that was just not a smart play by the freshman because they are going to call those hand checks 100% of the time this year.
Yep. 9-0 run for the Cowboys, but the second foul against Evans will put Baylor back at the free throw line. Coming up, our Land Rover halftime report. Ben Simmons, very anticipated matchup against Kentucky tonight. Recap that classic from Vaughn Allen last night. Good call, bad call. I think I know what that's about. Free throw no good. So all of a sudden Baylor, they were making all their free throws. They missed 2 front ends in a row, and now they missed the first of 2 with Medford.
Medford's the only player in the country ranked in the top 20 in assists per game, steals per game, assists to turnover ratio. Really having a nice first 2 months of the season. Hopefully he can continue that in league play. He may not be their best player. That's Rico Gathers or Torian Prince, but he is their most important player to their success.
I think I agree with you. That's a reach-in foul. The whistle's been coming fast and furious in these last couple minutes. Well, that next game up, 9 Eastern, Kentucky and LSU. So it's about to get started from Baton Rouge.
And that's going to be a fun game. LSU's playing much better. They went on the road and won at Vanderbilt. Not an easy place to win. Vanderbilt, a very, very good team, top 20 team this year. Ben Simmons has been a stud. He's a National Player of the Year candidate. But the biggest thing for Johnny Jones' squad, they're getting all their pieces together. Hornsby is back. He's playing well. They get Craig Victor, the Arizona transfer now, who's be able to play inside and allowing Ben Simmons to kind of do his thing on the perimeter. Quarterman's playing better. And then Kentucky is playing also some of their best basketball. They blew out Ole Miss over the weekend. Tyler Ulis has been phenomenal in their last couple games. Marcus Lee playing much better. They still need Skal Labissiere, but they want to be a factor, I think, for the national title. He's going to have to try to live up to some of those expectations, be more of a force in the paint.
My guess would be by the end of the year that they will be a factor for the national title. Shot clock winding down, final minute. Al Freeman gathers, tips it in.
And Gathers just being in the right spot at the right time, but also anticipating when the ball is shot from one side of the floor, the right side. In that case, he likes to position himself opposite of where it's shot and get inside position. Did it to perfection there.
That's what he told you. That's rebounding 101. Get that inside position. Olivier blocked from behind. What a nice play by Jake Lindsey.
Well, an excellent pass there by Tyree Griffin. He gets the penetration, drops it off perfectly to Olivier. But Jake Lindsey coming from the backside with the big-time block shot. Well, here's the perfect penetration. Then Jake Lindsey showing some of that athleticism. The 6'5" freshman from Salt Lake City.
Dad, the general manager of the Utah Jazz, great basketball family. Griffin 3 off the mark. Offensive rebound, though. Now there is a difference. Shot clock's not off. But Oklahoma State, I think, in essence, can act like this is a final shot situation. Only about a 3-second differential. Jeffrey Carroll. Burton one dribble. Burton with contact. Offensive foul. Wave off the basket. Now that one hurts for the Cowboys, who have done a good job of getting back in this game. Yeah. Offensive foul. And who's there to draw the charge? Big number 2. So 7.7 seconds. That is plenty of time for Baylor. Not just get a shot up, but get a good look. King McClure in for Motley. Solomon in for Joe Burton. Freeman. Clock under 5. Freeman going all the way, but a whistle and a foul on the floor. Man, a 1.6 seconds on the clock. Baylor's in the double bonus, so that's great for the Bears. That means Al Freeman will go to the line to shoot 2. He has had a really good first half. Makes the first of 2. 13 points, and it hasn't been all for the outside. I think Freeman sometimes gets stereotyped just a 3-point shooter. He has been real aggressive taking the ball to the basket. Makes them both. 1.6 seconds. Oklahoma State can get a shot off. Griffin one dribble from near half court. Gathers. Yeah, he'll get credit for a rebound. Why not? Rico Gathers. 17 minutes in the first half. 13 points, 6 rebounds. Dominated in the paint, as we have seen him do so often in his Baylor career. And Baylor played an excellent first half. They'll take a 12-point lead to the locker room. Miles Simon standing by with Scott Drew.
Coach, you guys got off to a great start here in the first half. What enabled you to get that big lead?
We got some stops on defense, got some transition baskets. I know you love to play in transition back in the day. We like to play in transition. It all starts with stops. So
what are you going to have to do in the second half as they made a little bit of run to cut this gap, to cut that lead?
Well, that's Big 12 basketball. 40-minute games, lots of runs, lots of ups and downs. You got to compete every possession.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Miles. Thanks, Scott Drew. Time for our Land Rover halftime report with Baylor leading Oklahoma State by 12. Hey, Dave. Welcome back to Super Tuesday, presented by Hotels.com. Tonight here in Waco, Baylor at home leading Oklahoma State. Started the second half 45-33. Dave Fleming, Miles Simon back with you. Baylor did a lot of things well in that first half. I thought the number one thing, though, Miles, was being aggressive, getting looks close to the basket.
They really established their presence in the paint early in this game on the offensive side of the floor. There they get the post up by Torian Prince, then Rico Gathers doing what he does best on the offensive glass. Able to get the tip in, and then the penetration here, the nice finish through the contact for Torian Prince. But that's how they were able to get the big lead. They attacked the basket, they got out in transition, and they established themselves in the paint and around the basket in the first half.
By the way, you see those numbers. Oklahoma State had been the best team coming in the Big 12 in not allowing points in the paint. They'd given up 24 a game. Baylor had 24 in the first half. So that has been a difference maker for sure. And immediately they get a touch for Rico Gathers, who got double teamed. Gave it up to Wainwright, who draws a foul.
Now we'll have to see in this half if Oklahoma State to win a lot of games in the Big 12 this year, they have to be great on the defensive end. They have to be tough. They have to be scrappy. They have to get all the loose balls, make all the hustle plays, do so many little things because of Forte not being there where he could bail you out on the offensive end at times and score 20, 25, maybe 30 points in a game. They don't necessarily have that guy on the offensive end. So the defensive end is where they need to hang their hat.
Good start for Baylor. Torian Prince, who had 3 fouls in the first half with the first bucket after halftime. Speaking of 3 fouls, Leighton Hammonds picked up his 3rd right away in this second half. So that's not good news for the Cowboys. Newberry passed up the 3 to dribble into a 2.
And I like the fact the good ball movement right there. That made the zone shift 2 or 3 times. And then Newberry with the pump fake and the sweet little easy 15-footer.
One thing about Oklahoma State, almost right away in this, they were down 18 in the first half. It looked like they could get blown out, and they did figure out a way to kind of hang around.
Well, Travis Ford, he said his group, they're going to compete, and they're going to come out and play hard every night. Now, they might be a little bit less talented than some of the teams here in the Big 12, but they are never going to give up.
Great run out from Newberry for the jam.
And that's something they didn't get in the first half. They get the defensive rebound, they clear the glass, they throw the ball up the floor on the little leak out by Newberry.
And I think back to your point about offense doesn't always come easy for them. That's easy. So you get a few of those. That helps the Cowboys out on the offensive end.
Well, here you see they get the stop, and then you get the ball in the right guy's hands. Juwan Evans, who's always going to have his head up, one of the best passers. He has now 8 assists on the night with only 1 turnover. And Newberry, one of the best athletes, streaking down the floor.
And the turnover was not on him. It should have been his 9th assist. It was just a pass bobbled out of bounds. It should have been a dunk. And Juwan Evans can pass the ball. He went right by Gathers, though. Follows his own miss. No good. Finally, Anthony Allen comes away with the ball. And now Rico Gathers is on the floor, and his shoe came off. So he's trying to put his shoe back on, but it's not on. Now that's 5-on-4. Oklahoma State takes advantage, and the shoe is still not on. So at some point, you either got to, well, now you got it on.
He was able to slip it back on. I think he's powerful enough that he could force the shoe to do whatever what he wants the shoe to do.
Yeah. If you're the shoe, be careful.
You're going to lose that battle.
Don't fight with Rico. Prince, that spin move baseline drew a foul from Carroll.
And that's the right call. He got hit right on his elbow by Jeffrey Carroll.
Second foul on the sophomore, Jeffrey Carroll. Foul at Texas, right around Christmas. That town and several others in Texas really hit by some devastating storms. So Jeffrey was real concerned about what was going on in his hometown. I hope everybody there is okay. Still recovering. Prince makes the first of two.
Dave, I got to spend some time around Torian Prince this summer at the Nike Basketball Academy, where I was working with some of the college counselors that were there. And Torian Prince was really a standout there. And he's going against guys like Denzel Valentine, Chris Dunn, George Niang, Buddy Hield, Ben Simmons. These are the guys that are some of the leading candidates for National Player of the Year. But he showed a lot of the NBA scouts there his versatility, because he can guard a couple different positions. He was knocking down shots from NBA range, showing a nice handle, and he has taken that right into the season. He had a big game against Vanderbilt where he scored 30 points with nearly every NBA team here in the building.
Allen, one dribble, hook shot is good.
And that's a total bonus right there for Oklahoma State. Anthony Allen, not much of an offensive presence. The young man from Kingston, Jamaica, gets the little sweet touch rolls off the rim for the jump hook.
Yeah, his first bucket, and the lead is down to 8. This game is a long way from being over. Prince against Carroll.
The offense too stagnant right now for the Bears. A lot of standing around.
Evans tried to sell that one. He took a little shot to the face. Wainwright 3. Rebound Prince. And he avoided the travel somehow.
And they really got bailed out on a bad offensive possession. They needed more ball and player movement. The ball never left the left side of the floor the whole possession.
And they've also missed their last 5 shots from the field, and those shots have been a little tougher. That's part of that. Now Evans just steals it right from Medford. Juwan Evans all the way. Contact. He'll go to the line. What an impressive game for the freshman from Dallas. Third foul against Lester Medford.
Well, and Baylor has come out tremendously flat here in the second half after building that 18-point lead. Oklahoma State has just kind of scratched their way back in this game, and it's been piece by piece, not trying to get it all back at one time.
First free throw for Juwan Evans is too strong, no good. Our next NBA doubleheader on ESPN Wednesday tomorrow. Knicks against the Heat at 7 Eastern. And then at 9:30, it's the Grizzlies in Oklahoma City to take on Kevin Durant. And the Thunder NBA Wednesday presented by State Farm on ESPN. Also streaming live on Watch ESPN, the ESPN app.
Dwayne Wade went into his bag of tricks last night. That's his new little thing. And got the game-tying layup against the Indiana Pacers. They overcame a big deficit in the second half to win that game at home. Kevin Durant, little toe injury, sat out in a loss to the Kings last night.
So hopefully for the Thunder, he'll be back tomorrow. Russell Westbrook playing at a high level again. Closest this game has been, by the way, since it was 17-10. Gathers off the miss with the left hand.
He just stays so active and has great anticipation. The other thing that makes him a great rebounder, he has these huge hands. They're about 10.5 inches from thumb to pinky finger, and he has a great grip, and he can get, once he gets those hands on the balls, no one else is taking it from him.
Evans in the corner, over top, Gathers, came up short. Another rebound for Rico. He's got 9 now in this game. A whistle away from the ball. That's a foul against the Cowboys. Oklahoma State trying to make a run, down 9 with 15:49 to go.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball.
Well, Oklahoma State within 9 of Baylor, 51-42. Miles, what are the Cowboys doing a little better in the second half?
Well, they've been much better on the defensive end of the floor, and it's translated in the offense. And one way to get your break started is have your point guard rebound. Juwan Evans finds the rebound right there, and he finds his backcourt partner, Jeff Newberry, streaking down the floor. Then Anthony Allen gets involved on the offensive end, but the defense have been much better. Obviously, they give up the layup right there. But 2 for 8 for the Baylor Bears to start this half until that layup. Oklahoma State much more engaged, much more active, much more alert here in the second half.
Yeah, that will drive Travis Ford crazy. Better defense, and then out of the timeout, that. Also, Leighton Hammonds on the bench with 4 fouls. Jeffrey Carroll from a long way out. The 3 goes down.
Jeffrey Carroll's a guy that has a ton of ability. 6'6", 205 pounds, redshirt sophomore. Can shoot the 3, put the ball on the floor. He's a pretty good defender. I think he's a guy they can get more out of now, especially with Forte being out of the lineup. He needs to really assert himself.
Gathers, kind of pulls his way closer, misses the shot though. Here comes Evans and Oklahoma State. Evans all the way. Not a great shot. Gathers was there to stop him. Prince in transition. Carroll ripped it away. It's off of Oklahoma State, but that's pretty good defense. There's Leighton Hammonds. They're going to have to play offense for a while without him. Only 6 points. He spent so much time on the bench in foul trouble. When he's been in there, he's been very efficient. Of course, no Phil Forte tonight or for the foreseeable future with his elbow injury. Well, the colder shooting continues for Baylor.
Well, Baylor had been so dominant in the first half on the offensive glass. Now it's one and done opportunities. You would like to see the Cowboys be able to get a chance to get more transition off of those opportunities. Baylor doing a good job in recovering.
Shot clock down to 10. Carroll again from long range. Long rebound to Allen. Possession continues for the Cowboys.
See if they can set a ball screen for Evans if he can penetrate.
Carroll along the baseline draws a foul.
And you know what? That was really created by Evans. He used the little step-up ball screen on the left side of the floor, drew 2 defenders. Carroll flashed to the corner. They give him the ball, and that lets Carroll drive to the baseline. Here we see Evans uses it. 2 defenders go with him. Motley with a bad closeout on the baseline, and then he complicates the problem with the foul.
Motley's second personal. First free throw no good for Jeffrey Carroll. You're talking about that guy, number 1, Juwan Evans. I think some players just have that natural knack, that feel, that vision. But this kid has it.
And who wouldn't want to play with this kid? If I'm Travis Ford, I'm using Juwan Evans as my best recruiting tool because he's a very unselfish point guard. He has 9 assists already tonight. Probably could have 10 or 11 more if a couple guys made a few more shots. But he's the consummate point guard. He does a great job of balancing scoring and passing, doesn't turn the basketball over, is very competitive, and that's a great piece that Travis Ford can build around. And now next year, when you get Phil Forte back, you have maybe one of the best backcourts in the Big 12 with Forte and Evans.
Well, sloppy play by Baylor. Oklahoma State, even after missing the 2 free throws. Tavares Shine, 3 was blocked by Wainwright.
I like the hustle by Wainwright. Doesn't give up on the play, and now Lindsey turns the basketball over.
Griffin stopped by the Baylor defense, but the Bears have been much more sloppy. Oklahoma State, maybe give them some credit for that. Hanging around in this game. Where does the offense come with this lineup on the floor? Maybe from that guy. Shine rushed it. Solomon offensive rebound. Left-hand finish.
Well, they have the 2 big fellows in the game right now, Solomon and Allen, and they're causing a little bit of problem on the inside for the Bears.
Remember, no Rico Gathers on the floor for Baylor. Jake Lindsey. Motley, 1 dribble, had it stripped away. That's off of Solomon, out of bounds.
Well, here we see on the other Shine putting the shot up. Anthony Allen being physical. Solomon getting inside position on Motley to get the offensive rebound on the putback. And you see the Cowboy bench and Phil Forte, their consummate leader and one of their track captains, excited about the action.
Baylor has turned the ball over a few times. Have only made 2 of their last 11 shots from the field. And the lead that was once 18 in this game is down to 6. Maston, one dribble, left hand, Motley there for the dunk.
But you know what? Just the fact that Maston put the basketball on the floor, that drew the shot blocker Allen over to him. And even though he missed the shot badly, it left the opening for Motley.
Allen down low, bounce pass, Shine, nice quick release.
How about the pass? Anthony Allen, the 7-footer, gives a peek over his shoulders, turns back ahead, and then gives the bounce pass to the lay-in.
I tell you, we call him a non-scorer, and he doesn't score much, but he does have some vision. We've seen a couple good passes from the shot blocker, Anthony Allen. Carroll called for the foul.
Anthony Allen, Coach Ford, he told us he might be one of their best passers. Besides Juwan Evans, Anthony Allen, you see he gives the peek over his shoulder, doesn't try to force the action. Tavares Shine makes himself available for the lay-in.
2 blocks a game, plus some nice passes on the offensive end. Freeman had the big first half offensively, makes the first of 2 free throws. 2 big college hoop games Saturday on ESPN at 1 Eastern in the Big Ten. It's Maryland, number 3 ranked team in the country, and Wisconsin, and then North Carolina, Syracuse at 8 Eastern with Jim Boeheim back on the sideline on ESPN, streaming live on Watch ESPN, the ESPN app.
I've been very impressed by 2 big men that we saw on those teams. Diamond Stone has been phenomenal as of late, really growing and maturing as a player for Coach Mark Turgeon. And then Bryce Johnson put on a show last night. I think 39 points and 23 rebounds. Ever since Kennedy Meeks went out, it's like he knew he had to step up and shoulder more of the load. And Bryce Johnson has been an absolute stud for the Tar Heels.
He picked the wrong night to do it. We would have been talking about him all day. But for that Kansas-Oklahoma game, nice move. Olivier with the offhand. He's a left-hander, but he used the right to finish.
But rarely would I ever say this about Rico Gathers, but he kind of just surrendered on that play. He let Olivier get position on him in the post, and then didn't even really try to move his feet or contest that shot. Very unlike Gathers.
Aston, spin move, had it blocked, but a foul against Oklahoma State. So that will send us to a timeout here in Waco. It's gotten a lot tighter. Baylor leads by 6.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball.
Dave Fleming, Miles Simon back with you. Okay, we're all talking about Oklahoma, Kansas from last night. Miles, what did you learn from that game?
Well, the 3 things I learned. Buddy Hield is the leading candidate for National Player of the Year at this point. Probably he's overtaken Denzel Valentine, who's hurt, and maybe Chris Dunn. And I know Dunn suffered a home loss tonight. And then also when you look at both of those teams, Oklahoma and Kansas, are legit national title contenders. I think we knew that before going in, but watching them play each other, they can cut down the nets in April. And still, the Big 12 championship, the regular season title, runs through Lawrence and the Jayhawks. It's a deep team. They're a veteran team. Perry Ellis had a huge night last night. Wayne Selden is knocking down threes at a high rate. And that guard tandem of Mason and Graham is one of the best in the country.
Well, you just figure somebody's going to have to go to Fog Allen and beat Kansas. I mean, that for the
yeah, okay.
For them, this stretch where they win 11 consecutive Big 12 titles and they hardly ever lose a game at home. I mean, that's kind of been the missing link. Just even one of those upsets at home, it almost never happens. And you're right to chuckle because the chances of it happening just don't seem great.
Well, Travis Ford kind of hit it on the head today. He said, teams, you almost go in there not believing that you can win because the mystique of Fog Allen Fieldhouse and the winning streak and the Big 12 titles is just maybe kind of gets overwhelming because everybody talks about it every time you're going to play there.
Hustled by Mitchell Solomon, who's playing a little harder here in the second half. That's a jump ball, and the arrow does favor the Cowboys. Oklahoma believed they could win last night. They went in there thinking they could win.
They did, and they should because they're a great team, one of the best in college basketball. I mean, Kadeem Lattin has a free throw.
Yep.
Front end of a 1-and-1 to basically win the game.
Make even one of them. Make that first one.
More than likely they win.
And they win.
But those are the things that never seem to happen against the Jayhawks.
Yep. Somehow. Carroll runs the baseline to get open for 3.
Beautiful out of bounds play. They make the zone shift from side to side. Excellent ball movement. And Carroll gets his feet squared up and his shoulders to the hoop quickly and knocks it down.
The lead is down to 5. Medford, he traveled. They sprung the trap on him. Medford turned it over.
Well, you see the ball movement side to side. 4 guys touch this basketball, and it ends up in the soft spot against this 1-1-3 zone. Rico gathers. Torian Prince not able to recover to the corner to the shooter Carroll.
Oklahoma State can get even closer. Olivier, he knocked, gathers to the ground, no whistle, basket is good. The lead is down to 3.
Chris Olivier giving them some quality minutes. Really one of their best low post scorers.
Prince down low, Maston against Solomon, had it poked out of bounds. It's off of Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State doing a good job of switching up their defenses. A little bit of zone, some man. They go a little bit of 3/4 court pressure there to slow up the Baylor Bears.
And you see those numbers, points in the paint. Prince, catch and shoot, way short.
Well, that
follows his own miss.
And that wasn't a good look. They had plenty of time on the shot clock, and that was a forced, contested jump shot.
And that's where they haven't been getting those good, close-in looks.
Remember, this is a team that leads the nation in assists per game. They have 21 of them on average per night. They're better when they move the basketball just like that. Prince finding Maston in the middle of the paint.
Under 10 to go. Crowd's starting to get a little louder. Trying to help Baylor come up with a home win, which would be their first conference win. Medford steals it away from Olivier. Back to Maston, this time a little out of the lane, gathers offensive rebound.
And if you're Solomon Mitchell in this case, and you're guarding Rico, you really have one job. When the shot goes up, you find Rico Gather. And I know it's not an easy task, but you got to block him out and keep him off the glass every time. That is your one job. Even if you don't get the rebound yourself, you don't allow Gather to get the ball.
He's got 11 rebounds in the game. He needs one more to hit 1,000 for his Baylor career. He's already the leading rebounder in this program's history. I bet he gets it in the last 9 minutes and 13 seconds.
You would probably win that bet.
Medford. Baylor ball. Up by 5. Prince. Stayed in bounds. Finds Maston. Solomon came over, but they call goaltending. He got a hand on it. Count the basket, though.
Nice little pass there by Torian Prince. After the gamble by Shine, Shine puts his team in a bad defensive position there. Oklahoma State has been solid on the defensive end. No need to gamble on Torian Prince 25 feet from the basket. That creates an advantage opportunity that Baylor takes advantage of.
And the ball clearly hit the backboard. Then Solomon blocked it for the goaltend.
And the key on that is the ball was above the rim. If it's below the rim on the backboard, you can still block it.
Evans, little floater, short. Baylor trying to push. At the free throw line. Carroll got out to contest, so Freeman passed up the 3. Now a push against Carroll with the shot clock winding down. That's his 4th foul. Hammond's already on the bench with 4 personals.
Carroll has given them really some nice minutes in the second half. Knocked down some shots from the perimeter.
He will go to the bench now.
Been very active on the defensive end.
New shot clock for Baylor. And foul trouble for the Cowboys. Those are 2 key players. Now Medford has to call a timeout. Evans got out on him. The Baylor calls a timeout. We'll step aside and be right back to Waco after this. Meanwhile, here in the Big 12, second conference game on both sides. Oklahoma State 1-0 with an impressive win at home against TCU. Baylor got trounced at Allen Fieldhouse. Now, is that another timeout? Well, what was the whistle? I didn't mean to. Inadvertent whistle. Well,
that really hurt the Cowboys there.
Man.
Because they had Medford locked in a trap.
What a break for why was the whistle blown there? What possibly could have prompted that? That is a big break for Baylor. Shot clock is winding down. Aston into the corner. Prince, three. No good. Gather's got a hand on it, but it's out of bounds off of Oklahoma State. So even his effort to try to get the offensive board helps Baylor extend the possession. When we come back to Waco, Bears lead 63-56. All right, we had the inadvertent whistle and we found out what was going on. I think it's important to point it out. Scott Drew out of a timeout. Baylor inbounds the ball. Lester Medford once again was trapped. And watch the coach up at the top of your screen leaning over to Mike Stewart, the referee. He was trying to call timeout, and Mike Stewart blew the whistle. Now remember, that's a rule change this year in college hoops. Hey, look, Mike made a mistake. He went over to Oklahoma State and apologized for it. But a coach cannot call a timeout anymore from the bench in a live ball situation.
Yeah, and in this situation, obviously it hurt Oklahoma State because they had a locked-in trap, and maybe were they going to be able to get a turnover and build some more momentum if they get the turnover from Lester Medford. And the official did go over and apologize to Travis Ford, but doesn't do Travis Ford any good in that situation because Baylor still has the basketball.
And now they got to play defense again because of that guy. Now, remember, we went to break. There was a loose ball, contested ball out of bounds. On that, they gave Rico Gathers credit for a rebound, which is number 1,000 of his career, which will not go on the highlight reel because he never actually had the ball. But he gets credit for the offensive rebound there. Under 8 minutes to go. Medford, runner, tough shot. Allen rebound for Oklahoma State.
Well, too much dribbling. You come out of the timeout, and that's the best shot that you get. Too much dribbling, no action. It was all taken away from Oklahoma State. You need some ball and player movement.
Allen down low, fouled from behind by Rico. Here's career rebound number 1,000. Celebrate the beauty of this one.
The most impressive that he's ever had.
He had good position. Yep, give it to him.
Is that home cooking right there?
That makes you think maybe he's got about 988 in his career. How many others of those did he come up with? Can't take away from his rebounding prowess, though. Good look for Shine. He missed the three.
See, now the ball needs to get to the other side of the floor.
They do get it there. Freeman right past the defense. A reach-in foul, though. And they call it a shooting foul to put Freeman at the line.
25. Here we go.
Third foul against the freshman, Juwan Evans.
Freeman's a guy that's really kind of come into his own his sophomore year. Young man from Charlotte, North Carolina, played at Finlay Prep. But they describe him and Medford are really the only guys that can create their own shot off the dribble on a consistent basis. He's probably their best three-point shooter. He's 42% going into tonight. We saw him knock down a couple in a row in the first half.
Well, one thing about this Baylor program under Scott Drew, and it's been a hallmark of the program for a long time, kids wait their turn. If they're not playing, they stick around, and usually they get rewarded for it. And I think Al Freeman is yet another example of that.
Well, he was a highly rated, regarded recruit. Obviously, he was going to UCLA at first, and kind of a steal for Baylor to get him. I think he'll end up being all Big 12 before his career is all said and done.
Evans down the lane, whistle, foul on the floor. No shot, not a shooting foul against Baylor. Well, I'm not blaming other kids who get impatient and leave programs, but Baylor does not lose transfers. These highly recruited players. Baylor's been a talented team this last decade, and these kids wait around.
Well, I think it's the culture that Scott Drew implores here. The guys like being around Coach. He gives them a lot of freedom. They play an exciting brand of basketball.
Shine missed the three, had another good look. Oklahoma State needed a few of those to go down. Medford, who has the ball, has 4 personal fouls now, so that's big news for Baylor. Here is Al Freeman, little shake move, 3.
And you hit it right on the head. The jab step and the threat of the drive by Freeman created the separation for the 3-point shot.
That was a nice play. A 9-0 run for Baylor. After Oklahoma State had cut it down, that's not a great pass. Another turnover for the Cowboys. Prince trying to lead Medford, who did well to save it in bounds, and then throws it away. 3-on-2. Newberry fouled by Freeman in the open court. Probably a good foul.
And here we go. Al Freeman on the wing, just lined up. He's going to get ISO'd right here against Newberry, a very good defender. Remember, he had drove just the play before and got the foul. So the threat of the drive is there with Freeman. He's not just a shooter. That created about 3 feet of space for him to get off that 3-point shot.
Well, you mentioned how his scoring numbers have been so up this year, up to almost 13 points a game. Much more even here tonight. He's got 21 already. Carroll, 3, in and out. Cowboys really need some of those to start going down. Jake Lindsey, the freshman. Here's Maston down low. 1 dribble, that little hook shot.
That's a nice play. I coached against TJ Maston in AAU basketball. He played for a powerhouse program, had guys like Austin Grandstaff, Elijah Thomas, Matt McQuaid, who's playing for Michigan State. TJ Maston actually hit a game winner against the Cal Supreme team out in Vegas a couple summers ago. But you can see the game is coming along, and he's going to be one of those post guys that ends up having a great career in this Baylor Bear uniform, and is going to be a big-time threat with his back to the basket in the years to come.
I'm going to count that one as career rebound number 1,000. At least in my memory, that was a Rico Gathers rebound.
Go right back to him.
Prince right by the defense. And Travis Ford looking for a timeout. 13-0 run right when the Cowboys had cut it down to 3. And we're putting pressure on Baylor. It's been a Bears blitz with 4:20 to go.
Obvious choice for hotels. And in part by Lexus. Introducing the all-new Lexus RX and RX Hybrid.
It's been a good time to be a Baylor Bears fan, and not just hoops, but football, women's basketball. So many of the big programs here in Waco have thrived over these last several years.
How about what their football team did in the bowl game against North Carolina? That was the most impressive thing that I saw in the bowl season. They ran for 680 or 90-something yards. This is a passing team. They had 5 or 6 different guys take snaps. And North Carolina knew what was coming and couldn't stop it.
It was incredible. That and the TCU comeback in the Alamo Bowl.
Yeah, and you let me know something. They only had 15 bowl practices to change their offense completely.
Yeah,
it was
did
amazing.
In an amazing way, you're right. Out of bounds off of Baylor, or off of Oklahoma State, rather. Baylor ball.
And here's where Oklahoma State's going to run into problems during conference play. Not having Phil Forte around possibly for the rest of the year, is that offensively they really can get lost and don't have that guy that you can count on night in and night out to get you 15 to 18 points.
Torian Prince. When Baylor, it's been a direct correlation, Miles. When Baylor has attacked the glass, attacked the rim, gotten shots into paint, their offense has been fantastic. Newberry 3. Here comes Baylor.
And the other thing I like with this Baylor team, they pretty much stay within what they do well. They don't have a ton of three-point shooting, so they don't shoot a lot of threes. They try to get in the paint, to your point. They pound you on the offensive glass. They're active on the defensive end. They really play within themselves. And then look at this graphic right here. They have more offensive rebounds than Oklahoma State has total rebounds. Amazing.
That one will be circled in the locker room after the game by Travis Ford. Now that's pretty remarkable. Oklahoma State called its final timeout. Biggest lead. I mean, I think probably Oklahoma State went on a run. They cut the lead down to 3. And it feels like just a couple of minutes later, it's 20 for Baylor. Everything has gone wrong since then for Travis Ford's club. A 17-0 run since they cut the deficit to 3. It's taken 6.5 minutes. I think that's part of what you're talking about, Miles. The defense hadn't been great during the run, but no points in almost 7 minutes without Phil Forte, particularly on the road. You figure that offense could be hard to come by.
And they're going to have some stretches like that in the Big 12, one of the best conferences in America. But I think the guy that's going to end up finding himself and asserting himself more for this Oklahoma State team as conference play goes on is going to be Juwan Evans. As his confidence begins to grow, he's going to need to realize that I can do a little bit more. I'm the best passer on this team. I have to make not only myself better and get some points, but I have to continue to find and get easier shots for the rest of my teammates.
I'm with you. I mean, it's my first time seeing him in person this year in his freshman season. He is a special player. Carroll, or Olivier rather, down low, drew the foul against Gathers. It's his second personal foul.
And I think the other thing that Coach Travis Ford will figure out is that this can be a good defensive team or a better defensive team. And they have been the last couple of games. They had held their last 2 opponents to under 50 points apiece. And they're one of the best defensive teams coming into tonight in the Big 12, especially defensive field goal percentage-wise. Now, they have some length, they have some athleticism, but I think they have to be able to try to create some more turnovers. And when they do get stops, try to find some easy points in transition as best as possible. Get the ball in Juwan Evans' hands and let Hammonds and Shine and Newberry run those wings and try to get some easy layups or some run-out open transition threes.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think Coach Ford, he'll point at that rebound total. That one almost stolen away, but Baylor gets it up across midcourt, and they're not slowing down. Freeman, smart. And now they will back it out.
I like the fact that Gathers passed up the shot and gave back out. Now they can run some clock.
But the free throws taken, the points in the paint, the rebounding totals, all those tough guy numbers, aggression numbers, all of them favor Baylor in this game. I think without Forte, that's going to have to be the identity of Oklahoma State. They're going to have to be a tough team. Nice look. Gathers, missed it. Tipped it and missed it again. And now the ball ricochets into Rico's fan club. Out of bounds off of Baylor, though. There they are. Why wouldn't you be a fan of number 2?
No, everybody should be. And he's a special player, a great young man. So fun to watch. And Coach Drew has said it's just a pleasure to coach during his time here. His 3.5 years going on his last couple months of the season here as a Baylor Bear.
Plus, he didn't even bat an eye when we handed him a bottle of glass. Oh, what a dunk by Jeffrey Carroll. My goodness.
Even Rico Gathers is looking at Jeffrey Carroll like, where did that come from?
You got that in you? Why haven't we seen that before? That was amazing.
That was hashtag SC Top 10 right there.
Big time.
That was a big time dunk. Jeffrey Carroll. Oh my goodness.
Too little too late, but he's a guy who's got the talent to emerge with no Phil Forte and play better. Aston, little fade away. Gathers got a hand on it. Prince blocked by Shine. All right, let's watch it again.
Yeah, let's watch that about 10 more times, because look at the penetration right there. Straight line drive, and Gathers goes up to contest. And that's a straight body to body dunk right there, Jeffrey Carroll.
Now look, Rico's not a great shot blocker, but you still have to have some courage to go head-to-head against him. Final minute and a half. Baylor will get its first conference win. Nice bounce back for them after going to Fog Allen and really taking it on the chin.
Well, they really lost that game in about the first 5 or 6 minutes, where Kansas jumped up about 18 or 20 points on them. Jayhawks knocked down a bunch of threes, I believe 11 of them in that game. And then it was kind of played even after that.
Well, and the point that some of the Baylor folks were making with us today was the last 2 years, nobody has played Kansas tougher in this league than Baylor home and away. They have been the team that has really gone up there and challenged the Jayhawks a couple different times. And it was that those first few minutes that you were talking about just totally took him out of the game. But I think Baylor, you look at this league, it's so deep. Oklahoma and Kansas, the top two teams in the country right now. But I think Baylor has a chance to push its way toward the top in the Big 12.
Yeah, they really did. If you look at West Virginia, they went on the road their first 2 games, got 2 wins over the weekend and on into yesterday.
You know, one thing about showing the upcoming schedule in this conference, it's always going to look tough because the league is so deep.
Well, look at that. At Iowa State, obviously that's not an easy game playing against one of the best teams in the country. But then you go 3 games from now, you go at Texas Tech is a team that's won 10 or 11 games in a row. Tubby Smith has them playing at a very high level right now. And they're going to surprise a lot of people in this league.
Kansas State's been real competitive. Gathers couldn't quite catch it. Tips up, another miss. It never hit the rim. That's a shot clock violation. Rico, a little smile on his face as he heads back to the defensive end.
And Bruce Weber and his Kansas State squad down there in Manhattan has played extremely well.
Yeah, in what looks like it could be a total rebuild for them. Hammonds missed the shot. He never got back in rhythm after the early foul trouble.
And if you're the Texas Longhorns, you're thinking about hopefully getting Cameron Ridley back healthy. He's been a big part of the Longhorns' early success.
Iowa State nearly beat Oklahoma in Norman before that showdown with Lawrence. Medford off the ricochet. 3. Been kind of an up and down game for him, but a nice exclamation point for Baylor.
Well, I mentioned it earlier in the first half. Medford, he may not be their best player, but he's probably going to be their most important piece as the head of the snake, the point guard for this team, getting everybody involved and finding a nice balance between scoring and assisting.
Well, shot clock is off, and Baylor's just going to dribble out the final 10 seconds of this one. The Bears will get their 11th overall win, improve to 11-3, their first Big 12 win. Both teams will now be 1-1, and they end the game on a 20-6 run to put away the Cowboys of Oklahoma State. That's the final 31st career double-double for Rico Gathers. 17 points, 17 rebounds for the big guy.
Well, the Baylor Bears, they established themselves as the more physical team early in this game, and that kind of set the tone, and they took it from there. They were the more aggressive team on the defensive end and really were dominated in the paint from start to finish.
Nice win for Baylor, 79-62. The final coming up next, NBA Coast to Coast from Miles Simon and our ESPN crew. Dave Fleming saying so long. Thanks for being with us. Good night here from Waco. Baylor wins.
Welcome into this 2-hour edition of NBA Coast.